Tonight, like I said, we're going to get kick-started on growing both microgreens and growing broccoli sprouts. So I'm going to give you a little tour here of everything we're going to need. So let's see. How do I flip this around? Okay, turns out once I'm recording, I can't flip to the other, make it face the other way, so it's stuck like this. So this will be interesting. Okay, so things you're going to need. We're going to need our seeds, right? I have sunflower seeds, pea seeds, and amaranth seeds. Right? These are going to be the microgreens that we're growing. Sunflower seeds, very popular. They have like a good nutty flavor. They have some good protein in them. They taste really good. Our pea seeds, also very popular. I believe sunflower and peas for a lot of businesses are the two most popular in terms of quantity. So peas are popular as well. And then we're growing amaranth. As you guys learned in the lecture, these guys are very healthy. They have a lot of good nutrients in them. So these are going to be our microgreens, and our sprouts are going to be broccoli. So I got, I'm not sure from what company I got the broccoli sprouts, but all the other stuff I got from Mountain Valley Seed, and they're certified organic, at least the sunflower and pea are. This is really awkward to use. So I'm going to have to figure out a new thing to use here. Okay, so we got our seeds. We're going to need some other stuff as well, right? So these are our jars that we're going to be using for our sprouts. These are 32-ounce wide-mouth mason jars, and I bought these little mesh coverings that go on the top, and that's going to allow us to drain out the water as we rinse our broccoli sprouts. So I have a couple out here. We're only going to be doing one jar of broccoli sprouts initially, but we need to soak some of our microgreen seeds. The pea seeds and the sunflower seeds get soaked, so I'm going to soak them along with the broccoli. And this guy's just extra. So besides that, we got our water, we got our spray bottle to spritz stuff, I got our good old scale, that was some more stuff. So I got 2 buckets of our soil. It's our regular potting soil that we use, that technically soilless media. I got flats. So I have, these are flats that have holes in them. These don't have holes. These are going to be kind of what we water in, right? If you remember from the PowerPoint. And then I built this shelving unit from more pallets. Right, and I bought an LED light to go in here. So let's get started. And we're going to start with our broccoli sprouts. So again, when we're doing our sprouts, the initial step is that you want to soak them for about 8 hours overnight. So, and really with the sprouts, it's really easy. Because you're going to put about 2 tablespoons of sprouts in that you're going to be growing, right? So that makes it easy. We don't have to measure, or we don't have to weigh anything out. We're just going to put 2 of our tablespoons. First, we're going to open up our little mason jar here. We're going to take our sprouts. I got our tablespoon right here. And we're going to put 2 tablespoons. Oh, you can't see that. Hold on. I can bring it closer this way too. So real simple. We're just putting 2 tablespoons of our broccoli sprouts. I'm trying not to spill them on my floor. Alright. So 2 tablespoons worth of our seeds for our broccoli. You can see them in there. Right, and then the next step is we want to fill this about halfway up with water. Right, so that's about halfway, maybe that's a little more. And then we put the lid on, and this guy is just going to sit out overnight. All right, I'm going to put them on my counter in a little bit. You can see it there, the sprouts in the water. All right, and as we learned when we talked about germination, really what's going to be happening now is our seeds are going to be imbibing that water. They're going to be taking in that water, and that's our first step, and that's going to kick off that whole germination process. Right, so they take in that water, then they have that lag phase where they start doing all their metabolic processes. Right, they'll repair DNA, their mitochondria will kick in. They'll start making DNA and RNA and proteins. And then eventually we'll have our radical emergence. Right, that root, the primary root, is going to emerge from the seed. It's going to grow a little bit, and after a couple days, they'll be ready to eat. Right, so it's real simple. That's our broccoli sprouts. That's the start of them, right? And I'll be making more videos as they grow, so you can see as we go along each step and until we're ready to harvest them or eat them. Okay, done. Broccoli sprouts. Real simple. We're going to move on now to our microgreens. Now, our pea and our sunflower microgreens also need to be what we call like pre-soaked, right? So they're going to be soaked overnight. Just like our broccoli sprouts, we're going to soak them for about 8 hours. So just overnight. When I wake up in the morning, I'll wind up planting them. Now, I talked a little bit about seeding rate in the PowerPoint. Again, our seeding rate is essentially how much seed we're going to be sowing in our trays. So there are different rates for different microgreens, and they're different companies, organizations will provide different rates, unfortunately, for the same microgreen, right? So it's going to be a little bit of learning as you go. For example, for our peas, which we'll do first, our peas, I got one reference told me a seeding rate of 12 ounces, right? So we will weigh out 12 ounces of seed, and that's what we're gonna use to. That's the amount that we're gonna plant in our tray. However, a different resource only told me 5 ounces, which is a pretty big difference. I think we're gonna go somewhere in the middle, and we're gonna use about 8 ounces of peas. I think that'll be good. We'll see how that does. And similarly with our sunflowers, I had one reference that told me 9 ounces as seeding rate. Another told me 6 ounces. Again, this is something as you do this, and if you're going to do this more, where you're going to keep track and you're going to see how these different rates kind of work, right? How do they affect your yield? So again, for our sunflowers, we'll probably just stick with 8 ounces for both, and we're going to see how 8 ounces do for each one. So we're going to need to measure out our seeds, and again, these are getting pre-soaked. So what we're doing is just like with our broccoli over there, we're just going to put these in a mason jar, and we're going to let them sit overnight. So a nice 32-ounce mason jar. Let me change this around so you're going to be able to see what I'm doing. Right, so here is our scale. And if you remember, we got to zero out our scale, so we put our thing on. We move that to 0. I'm going to do it this way just so I can see. Move that to 0. And then we're going to add until we get to 8 ounces. So we're going to add our pea. We'll do pea. So that is 8 ounces of pea seeds. That's a ton of seeds. That is more than I was expecting. Oh, but that's what they say, so we're going to see how that goes. I'm thinking the 5 ounces seems to be more correct than 12 ounces. That's insane. But okay, we got our pea seeds. We got 8 ounces of our pea seeds. Again, we're going to soak these overnight. So we're going to take them, pour them in our mason jar, add our water, and then cap that off. Right. Okay. So So now our pea is sitting there nicely. We're going to let them soak overnight. And we're going to do the same thing with our sunflower. And we are going to, again, use 8 ounces. We're going to keep things... I just thought what would have been easier than doing this is I just would have put the mason jar on here and filled it up. That would have been easier. So if you guys are doing this at home, do that. Okay, so those are our broccoli sprouts, bingo, our peas, and our sunflowers. Next, we are going to do our amaranth. Now, our amaranth doesn't need to be soaked overnight, right? We can just sow them right now, which is exciting. So that's what we're going to do. First, I'm going to get more water because we're going to need that. And we're going to need our trays, right? So you can see the holes in that one, right? We got our 10-20 trays. No holes in that one. Alright, so we're going to need more water, so I'll be right back. Okay, we got our water. We can put that down here. Hopefully I don't make too much of a mess doing this. We got our soil. So the first thing that we're going to need to do is fill up our tray with soil. You don't want any sort of ridges, especially when you're using like smaller seeds. The amaranth seeds are pretty small. So, and as you're going to see, when we're actually sowing these seeds, we're basically just scattering them across and you're trying to make it even. So if there's little ridges or bumps, your seeds will tend to collect in the little valleys of those ridges, and you don't want that. You want them spread fairly evenly across. Right, so you want to try and make this as flat as possible. What you can do is even take your other flat here, just kind of give it a little press, and kind of flatten things down. Sometimes what happens though is it'll give those lines. So you can kind of see, you can actually kind of see them. See how there's some lines in there, some ridges? Just flatten those bad boys out like that. Right, and now you're good to go. Okay, so we got our flat of soil ready to go. Again, we are going to be bottom watering all of this stuff, and we're doing that mainly it's going to help protect our seeds in the beginning, right? Like I said, we got some tiny seeds. They're going to be sown really thickly together. If we're pouring water on top, it could displace them, get them kind of bunched up in spots that we don't want. So we're going to water from the bottom. Right? It can also help with some mold issues as well. So we're going to take 2 cups of water, and we're going to pour it in. Let's see, I'm at 5 right now. So I want to get to 3. So 2 cups of water. That's about a cup. That's about 2 cups, right? So not a whole ton. The soil is already a little moist, and we are going to mist as well. And we can continue to water this as we go along. So we got our 2 cups. We now place our 1 flat in the other flat, and that water is going to kind of wick up into our soil. Keep it nice and moist. Right, and as we go along, we may have to water a couple times as these things grow. Okay, so that is, we got our flat ready. We are now ready to sow our seeds. For our amaranth, our seeding rate is 1 ounce, according to one reference, about ½ an ounce according to another. We are going to do 1 ounce because this thing isn't sensitive enough really to get ½ an ounce. So we are stuck with 1 ounce. And it just so happens that I bought 1 ounce of amaranth seeds. So we're doing this entire thing. That makes it really, really easy. So if we're going to do this as a business, we're going to want to be buying in bulk. right? I didn't buy in bulk because this is more just a trial and a demonstration for you guys. But again, if this is something that you want to start and do more of, buy in bulk, right? You can get these pounds and pounds of seed, and that's what you're going to want. So, these amaranth seeds, much tinier than our pea and sunflower. I'm still going to pour them in here. This is relatively clean, so we're going to pour them in here, and you can get a look. You can kind of see them, right? Much smaller than our other seeds. So the reason I'm pouring them in a cup is I'm going to use that cup to sprinkle them on. And hopefully that will give me better coverage as I sprinkle. We're going to see, right? So we got our seeds. You've got your tray here. Essentially what you want to do is lightly sprinkle them around your flat, right? So just kind of shake and sprinkle as you go. Right? And you're trying to get good coverage as you can. And it may not be perfect, but really kind of spread them out, get in the corners. A lot of people miss the corners like I did there because they're afraid of losing seed. Oop, got a little thick there. And as you do this, you'll get better at it. As I do it more, I will get better at it. Just takes practice. Now it looks really thick that we are layering these on, and it is. Right? Conventionally, this would never work if we were growing these plants all the way to maturity. But these microgreens, we're only growing for a couple days, right? And they're going to get most of their energy through the seed, any storage tissue that they have in their seed. Right, so as a result, they're not going to be taking a lot of nutrients from our soil, and we could sow them pretty thickly like this. Right, this would be a nightmare if we had to later transplant all of these. But there we go, we got our seeds sown, tap any little extras that we may have out, and then what we can do is we can give them a little misting as well, right? So again, kind of be careful as you mist. You can't really, let me see if I can bring this up. Right, so you can see all of them sown like that, tons of seeds. As we mist, we'll see how the seeds move around a little bit, right? That's why we don't always want to water so much from the top. But I don't think this will hurt too much. They do say it's okay. You can give them a little mist at the start. So that's what we're doing. We're giving them a nice mist. Give them enough water. Okay, that should be good. All right. They've been misted. They've been sown. The next step is what we're going to do is we're going to take another flat and we're going to place it on top. I'm going to take my tray and I'm going to place it on top of my shelf right here. Okay, and that's going to sit there for a couple days. So for our amaranth, it should take about 2 to 3 days for germination. So we're going to let it sit there for about 2 to 3 days. Hey guys, so it is now morning. This is part 2 of our lab, right? So we've had our seeds soaking overnight. There's our broccoli. And you guys can come around. We can see our sunflower. It's pretty dark. And our pea seeds. They've all been soaking. And now we are going to drain out our broccoli and then sow our sunflower and our pea. So we're going to start with the broccoli. We'll take care of our broccoli sprouts and then we'll move on for our microgreens. So this is going to be fairly easy. Right? All we're going to be doing here is draining out the water. Let's make it so you can see. Right, you're draining out all your water. Like that. And then I don't think we need to give this a rinse initially. Right, we're just going to let, once all the water's drained out, we're going to take it. And we're going to take these guys, and just like in that photo, let me see if I can arrange it so you can see it. We put that in at an angle. Right, so water can still drain out. And we're going to put this in a cabinet. Right, so we're going to put this right up here. Alright, so you can kind of see them in there. And we're just going to let that sit for about a day. And after a day, we should start to see those seeds germinating, and then we'll start rinsing each day, morning and night. Okay, that was real easy. What we have to do now is drain our sunflower seeds and our pea seeds, and then we will get to germinating. So I'm going to probably pause this. Okay, so I got some things set up. If you look, you can see I have, make sure you can see that, 2 flats prepared. Right, and I prepared these guys just like in the last video, filling up the top flat with soil, putting it in a second flat on the bottom that does not have holes, and into that flat I filled about 2 cups of water. Right, so we're going to bottom water these things. And then I also have our seeds ready. They've been drained. It's a little dark in here, I know, but I tried putting on the light and it kind of blinded things, so we're going to see how this goes. Right, so our flats are prepared, and really all that we have left now to do is to just sow our seeds. Let's see. Can you see that? Let me turn this light on. That might help. But look at that thing. That entire thing is covered in seeds. Pretty crazy. Okay. So again, I'll put this down. Just flatten, make sure they're nice and flat. They all have pretty good contact. We want them all to have good contact with the soil as best as they can. That seems pretty decent to me. Alright, we'll cover these guys again. Give them a little resistance as they germinate. Keep them dark. Want them to grow a little tall. And we can slide these right on up. So, and then our last step is we want to label them. Label. And these guys are our sunflowers. And it's 3:20 today. And we did these in the morning. Okay. That is it. So really, what we're going to be doing now is just monitoring them as they grow. Let me turn this off because this is bright. Bright. We're going to monitor them as they grow. It should take a couple days for them to germinate. After they germinate, we're going to leave them in this dark on this top shelf for a little bit longer, probably 1 or 2 days afterwards. And then once we reach that point, we're going to move them down here to the lower shelf, and we'll get the lights going, and they'll start photosynthesizing, grow a little bit more, and then we will harvest them.